Foundations of Morality 1, Author, Jana. People need many things for their lives such as money, social status, families, children, and so on, but all will collapse without the spiritual foundation morality. Immoral people live selfishly and use their talents and power for their benefit, even if it hurts others and makes society insecure and dangerous. People, therefore, need morality to live with others and to fulfill their duties in every field. The Moral Foundation series includes articles on basic concepts, trends, and levels of morality, to provide the reader with an objective overview of human morality. Furthermore, standards of morality and methods of moral cultivation from simple to sophisticated are presented in a brief and comprehensible way so that everyone can apply them to their lives. These articles are translated into English for foreigner readers' convenience. Thus, the Moral Foundation is helpful for a wide range of readers regardless of their religion and conceptions of society, because when they overcome these barriers, they have only for others. We would like to thank Thegioi Publishers for making this book available for the everyone will perfect their morality day by day, so goodness can spread and earth can become a paradise. Chapter 1. Basic Concept: Morality is the foundation for the existence of society. People with morality can make a sustainable connection to one another. With morality, people can trust one another. With trust, people can feel secure to keep their mind on living, studying, striving, hoping, and improving their soul. With trust, people can feel secure cooperation in order to build a better life. Being deprived of morality, people only wait to harm each other. Being deprived of morality, people will be afraid of cooperation with each other to build better things. Society will then be ruined. There are two opposite tendencies inside each human being, good and evil. Good tendencies are to love mankind and animals, and to want all beings to be happy. Evil tendencies are the reverse, only wanting to satisfy oneself, and to ignore others' misery. People already have a few tendencies of good and evil at birth, which are from previous lives. In this life, along with the conditions of environment and education, these tendencies can change. Some get advantageous condition for good tendencies to develop, some are unlucky, they fall into a bad environment. The evil tendency increases, and they become bad people, and fall foul with the law. All of us are responsible for improving the morality of ourselves, so that our presence are the joys, the secure feelings, and the safety of the surrounding community. If we do not improve our morality, we will become a burden, a worry, a threat, and a danger for the surrounding community. We cannot say that to improve one's own morality is his or her individual work. No, improving morality is the responsibility of everyone, so that his or her presence will not become a danger to others. How to improve morality, and what price for morality will be discussed later. Chapter 2, Fair. We have said that people must have good morals, so that their presence will not become a threat to their community. We have also said that people need to be moral, so that their presence will be a joy for everyone around them. Morality tends to be fair. He who lives kindly is worthy of receiving luck and happiness. He who lives cruelly is worthy of suffering bad luck and misery. Such fairness is manifested at many levels. At the human level, that fairness is manifested by the law. Man makes laws because they want to implement the fairness of morality. He who commits sins will be punished, according to judicial system. He who is a good citizen will be praised, according to the administration system. The theocratic religions would state that fairness is based on the will of God. He who lives a good life will be granted a reward. He who lives an evil life will be punished. The award or punishment of God is not so concrete as that of a judge or the government. Such fairness is invisible, but will eventually make people happy or miserable. There is a religion that tells about karma. Karma is a natural rule of the universe. This karma law is also invisible like the heaven concept, and also silently arranges the life of everybody, according to the sins or good services, which he or she made in the past, of this life or previous lives. The people who do not like gods will search for fairness in the law and authority. Mankind itself will implement the fairness. Nothing else will do that. He who believes in God will leave all the fairness in God's hands. Sometimes they believe that God will ignore fairness if they pray too much. Even if they are not deserving, but they pray enough, God will respond. He who believes in karma will try to recognize the activity of karma, so they can sow good seeds to harvest good results. If they want to be healthy, they must work to serve people. If they want to be rich, they must share their possessions with needy people. They also do not help bad people to harm others. The law of karma is as complicated as mathematics and even challenges the people who are wise. The advantage of the law of karma is its objectiveness. It does not depend on the will of the human, and does not depend on the trust in a god. In the future, when society is very developed, the high-grade people will choose the law of karma to be their foundation, to set up their morality system. He who believes in karma will win the hearts of everyone. Compassion is an essential attribute of morality. We should step back to ask ourselves, have we got sufficient compassion to live this life? If not, we ought to try our best to develop compassion. If just a little, we should cultivate it so that it grows much greater. This world is full of misery and sorrow, and it is forever in need of compassion from humans. 3. The level of ethics. The strength of morality is measured by our love for what is good. In different situations, we will have different levels of our love for good. For example, we suddenly see someone drop his wallet. We call, but he left quickly. We pick up the wallet and see a big amount of money inside. At that very moment, the measurement of morality appears. Will we love good or will we love money? Which one is greater? Will the love for good be more than the love for money? If the love for good is more than anything, we will not hesitate to try our best to find the owner to give him his wallet back. Another example, someone contacted us and suggested a big profit later if we accepted joining rebel activities against our government. At that time, the measurement of morality would appear. Would we love the good more, or would we like the promised profit more? They have persuaded us to think badly about our government also. But if we were not blinded by promises of profit, we would not follow their leading. If our love for the good is bigger than the greed of fame or money, we would escape from the trap of being a traitor. Another example is if we suddenly fall into a romantic situation with someone who showed his or her sentiment to us, but everything about the situation is illogical: family, duty, trust, happiness, and morality of faith. He or she was very beautiful, very rich, with all the need for life. But if we loved good more, if we thought more about our responsibilities, if we adored the morality of faith more, then we would reject their invitation. Another example, our lives and the lives of our family members were threatened seriously by an enemy who wanted to know our nation's secrets. The measurement for our morality in this case was extreme, if our love for good was high enough. And if we realized that our nation's interests are more important than our life and our families' lives, we would ignore their threats, we would not be fearful, and we would accept death to protect our nation's secrets. There are still many other cases where we can measure our morality. There will be more situations with challenges, from small to big. We should not tell a lie even if that lie give us a great benefit. We will pick up trash on the road although that is not our responsibility. We will take a victim to the hospital to save his life first even though we will be misunderstood, because it was our car that hit him. In return, the moral people will get peace of mind. And their minds will be clear and at rest. Chapter 4. Altruistic. Morality also has another measurement. That is the tendency for other, or for oneself. If we live for ourselves too much, we are less moral. If we live for other very much, we are more moral. However, selfish is a natural instinct of all beings. Everyone wants to get their interests for oneself first. We take care ourselves first with food and wear, then think of others later. If let things go on without education, the selfish instinct will control our thoughts and deeds into the immoral way. Only with education, only with the awakening of wisdom, we can be against the selfish tendency to live altruistically. The father pretended to drink and talk around to wait for his children to eat their fill. Then he would eat the rest. The money saved for a new bike now is given to the neighbor who just got in a bad accident. The work time was over, but the old man had sat too long waiting for his case to be solved, so the clerk delayed his party to invite him into his office. The person just took the first bite of a hamburger, but saw the dog that looked too hungry, so they stopped eating and gave the hamburger to the dog. A person met with their friend 3 times, but the friend wore the same shirt, so they gave him the newly bought shirt. The exam is ahead, but the boy could not solve the task, so their friend stayed up late to help him to solve the task. At the beginning, it is very difficult to change the way of life from for us to for others. Until the for others life has become a natural habit, we will discover that happiness is here. The for us life gives us mediocre pleasure. The altruistic life will give us noble happiness. If we have to honor someone as a saint, it is because he has an extremely altruistic life. If religions have to canonize anyone, they also rely on the standard of an altruistic life. When we were born, we were entitled to enjoy some interests, to enjoy some pleasures. But if we are moral people, we will prefer serving to enjoying, prefer working to consuming. However, to refuse drastically all interests is also an extreme thing. We cannot work if we do not eat enough food. We cannot give others money if we do not have money. So, if we are for us in order to be for others, we are still moral people. If we are for us then nothing more, we are immoral. The father had to eat enough before plowing the rice field. The businessman had to save every penny to keep the business running so that the employees would still have their jobs. The government has to control the tax paying severely to have enough money to spend for a lot of services in the country. The nation leaders have to move in an armored car to keep their lives to administrate everything. The captain had to ignore the exhausted co-pilot to drive the plane and land safely. Their manifestation looks like for themselves, but really for others, they are moral indeed. If we want to set up such noble altruistic tendencies, we have to love and adore the altruistic saints first. We also need to tell ourselves to live altruistically. We try to tell people to live altruistically. We do not make derogative remarks to selfish people, but just try to advise them only. Chapter 5. Peaceful Mind. An ethical mind is compatible with inner peace. He who lives a moral life will have peace inside. He who did bad things, cruel things, could temporarily gain his own interests, but would have to pay the price of an agitated mind later. There are many kinds of joys such as gladness, rejoicing, pleasance, happiness, cheer, delight, interest. Not all of them are good. Some of them make us become addicted and selfish. Some families have lost their happiness because there was someone in the family who sank into debauchery, drugs, alcohol, lust, adultery, gambling. That person concerned himself in his own pleasure and ignored others' miseries. Not only did his family suffer the pain, but also himself became disturbed. Of course, the law of cause and effect karma will eventually give them inevitable consequences with long-lasting misery. But as soon as they enjoyed the pleasures, as soon as they appropriated others' fortune, as soon as they made people painful, they were both excited and distressed. Greediness and cruelty are always compatible with the psychosis. In contrast, a moral heart, a loving, good mind, and an altruistic life will make our heart peaceful. That peace will not flame, will not be loud, will not be jubilant, but will only be gentle, light, and happy. A wise person will understand such peace is priceless, so that he or she will accept hard work, accept disadvantages, accept serving, and accept refusals to keep his or her life in good region. A man drove a long way to sign a new contract. As soon as he stepped out of the car, he saw some blood on the wheel. He wondered whether he had run over somebody unintentionally. He arranged to cancel the signing meeting and drove back to find the victim. He found the victim, and took her to the hospital. He was suspected of being the culprit. When she awoke, she told them that she had been hit by a motorcycle. The biker had run away. She laid unconscious beside the road. The car just ran over the blood. After the incident, he was often asked about it. He answered that if he had not driven back to find the truth, he would have spent the rest of his life in regret. By driving back and saving the girl, he could spend the rest of his life in peace. Buddhists often practice meditation in search of a peaceful mind. They think that once they get into an absolutely peaceful mind, they will be enlightened sublimely. But Sakya Muni has taught that there are many conditions for good meditation. One of them is a moral life. They have to make many good deeds, get away from the evil actions, help others, make offerings, and give alms a lot. It is clear that all saints encourage a moral life to make the path leading to pure inner peace. Chapter 6. Gentle, determined person. We often think that a moral person will be gentle and pleasant. It is very true. An ethical would not react strongly when facing something unpleasant. Gentleness means not reacting strongly. A gentle person often chooses a moderate, mild, unruffled attitude when responding to something. The people who have had gentleness become their nature will have a face that is nicer and milder. It will take us many lives to gain a gentle nature. Most of us are a mixture of gentleness and fierceness. Sometimes we choose a mild attitude, and sometimes we choose a strong attitude. If he or she has an inner heart that is not completely gentle, he or she will have a beautiful but cold face. If he or she has kept an inner heart completely gentle, he or she will have a beautiful and mild face. It is correct in almost all situations if we choose a gentle attitude. An angry attitude should be kept private. All politicians keep an unruffled and a mild attitude when in public. Even if they are booed, shoes thrown at them or asked rude questions, they remain humorous and keep calm. A smart politician will always do this. A gentle attitude is the manifestation of a person who is well educated, cultural, intellectual, and from a good family. He who is impolite, fierce, says bad words, easily gets angry, and makes strong gestures, probably was not born in a decent educated family. However, the gentleness of a moral person is different from the feebleness of a person with poor karma. Gentleness is an ethical choice. Feebleness is the suffering of powerlessness and low wisdom. A gentle and moral man would know right from wrong. He can be gentle and never agree with the wrong. They are gentle because they are virtuous, not because they are feeble. When they have to choose between right and wrong, good and evil, they are very consistent. Consistency is strength. Morality gives us the power to be steadfast and do what is right. In normal life, the ethical people will have few words, and no strong reaction, but when they face a situation that requires a choice between good or evil, they choose good with very powerful strength that no money or threat can change. The cause will have an effect. Such people will then leave for a community of noble beings, so that they will be able to live in a very ethical community. Chapter 7. Modesty. An ethical person must be a modest one, not arrogant. Modesty means thinking of oneself as not being quite good enough. Arrogance means thinking oneself as being talented enough. From the thinking of being not quite good enough, a modest person will have a very valuable emotion, which is the respect for others. On the other hand, the arrogant person always thinks of themselves as being good enough, and a negative emotion will appear, which is to despise others. By respecting people, the modest person will have words, actions, and facial expressions that please everyone. In contrast, the arrogant person, in spite of trying to restrain themselves, eventually shows their contempt for others and hatred of many, but not wanting hatred from people. The brain of an arrogant person cannot suffer its own arrogance. Thoughts of praising himself, and inwardly despising others, affects the nerve in an adverse way. Many of the brain's functions will eventually disappear. An important function of the brain is to constrain the free thoughts which make us distressed. But high self-esteem will ruin this function, causing the brain to fall into unstoppable stress, headaches, bad memory and less concentration, and the whole body will be exhausted. Another important function of the brain is to constrain bad desires and make people to live a dignified life. But arrogance has ruined this function, so that this person will be dominated by bad desires. This person suddenly desires more sex and has other cravings that surpass the limits of nature and social law. Once he has succumbed to the sin of sexual desire, his honor is lost. Another important function of the brain is the ability to learn and develop talent. But if an arrogant concept has killed this function, then this person becomes talentless. The concept of praising oneself and despising others has a lot of bad consequences for the brain. In addition, mental arrogance also causes bad luck. The arrogant one often falls into failure. Despite many efforts, everything will go wrong. On the other hand, a modest psychology raises the brain to new heights. The modest person will be more intelligent, will constrain a bad temper, and will have a peaceful mind. For the modest person, it will be easy to get success because of the law of karma. The modest person can also have a charming face too. He who has an arrogant psyche will be hard to change. He will keep his opinions, criticize everything, make everyone feel unpleasant, and ruin his own brain. Only if he realizes the danger of arrogance, and decides to change, can he struggle to repair his defects. He should kneel down in front of any saint or god of his understanding, confess his mistakes, promise to leave his arrogance, and ask for support from his saints or gods. He will promise to respect people and promise to recognize himself as not being good enough. He will do this every day, but in daily life, facing people, he could forget and let the arrogance appear again. It can be very difficult. It is very hard to change the psyche from arrogance to modesty. But we must change if we do not want to live in our personal hell. Once change has occurred, modesty exists, and we recognize ourselves as not being good enough. Then the first reward will come to us, which is that our heart is peaceful than before. Many good things then gradually come one by one. Chapter 8. Rebirth. The phenomenon of rebirth is very interesting. Science now does not have enough information to confirm rebirth, but there is much evidence around the world which proves that rebirth is real. A boy in the Golan Heights, in Syria, remembered his own previous life. He then denounced his killer who had killed the boy with an axe in the previous life. He died, was reborn into this life, but remembered and told his story. The boy pointed out the place where the killer had buried him. He also pointed out the killer, and the killer pleaded guilty. Since not all people can remember their own previous life, the issue becomes controversial. Not everyone has traveled by plane. But we cannot deny that air travel exists just because we have never flown in one. Because many others really have traveled by plane already. We must not judge everything from our own point of view. We cannot remember our previous lives because we have our own karma, our own reasons. We should not deny the rebirth phenomenon because we don't remember it. The rebirth phenomenon will make our view of ethics more solid. The world must accept rebirth to upgrade their morality. Sakya Muni has said very much about rebirth. Jesus has done the same. The Indian gurus also believe in rebirth. Much evidence around the world is proving the fact of rebirth. Only the physical sciences are now at a level that does not have enough information to know about rebirth. Because rebirth is very real, we can have good reason to affirm our trust in the fairness of the universe. Every single person was born with many differences from others in many aspects. They differ from each other with their looks, beautiful or ugly, strength, might or weak, mind, wise or foolish, family, rich or poor. We could say that it is only accidental just because we do not know how to explain it. We could say that it is the will of some God, because we offend that God. But which God could mischievously tease human fate like that? Even if we think that it is inherited genes, we cannot also explain how strange the differences between the members of a family are, after excluding other explanations. There will be only one explanation left, which is very logical, and that is the law of cause and effect, the law of karma. The person in this life is the result of the person in a previous life. Lots of thoughts and actions from previous lives have made lots of conditions in this life. Man reaps what he has sowed. Karma is fair. This fairness of karma is not a belief or a religion. This law of karma is science, the science of the universe, which our knowledge is not yet able to comprehend. He who understands the law of karma will be an advanced person that can promote the world as well. Our world needs many people who understand the law of karma to get a new level of ethics. The people in high ranks, such as leaders, intellectuals, priests, and even the low ranks such as criminals in prisons, all need to understand the law of karma to change the world's morality for the better. The slower we understand the law of karma, the less advances we will make for our world. Finally, according to the law of karma, he who tries to popularize the law of karma will gain great sacred benefits. Chapter 9. Unready. Unread is an important factor of morality. Greed is to want too much for oneself. The first want is for material possessions and money. Greed for money is the basic greed. Money represents all other possessions, so that greed for money is greed for everything else. Greed is a basic instinct created by self-ego. Everyone naturally likes to have many possessions. Everyone feels that the more possessions he has, the more happiness he gains. Some people find no need to shop or buy anything, and money and gold are kept in a safe, which is enough to make them very glad. Some people protect such gladness by living a miserable life rather than spend any penny from the safe. For such extremely miserly people, eating delicious food is not as happy as a safe full of money. In order to have a lot of money, sometimes people do bad or cruel things. They defraud, rob, kill, exploit, kidnap, torture, cheat, make forgeries, lie, oppress, bully, are all deplorable. Money will eventually all be spent, but the sins are not exhausted but wait for the law of karma to bring the painful consequences of justice. With a greedy heart, that person harms the people around him, and harm his own mind. The mind of the greedy person is stressed. If his past blessing, good karma from previous life, still exists, he can take what he wants. He also feels glad and satisfied. But this gladness and satisfaction make him more agitated again. His ethics and his good karma are decreasing day by day. He who is looking for virtue must eliminate this greedy heart. Greed and morals cannot share the same place. In order to eliminate greed, we have to live a very kind life by helping people, sharing with others, helping the at first, we share because we believe in karma poor, which will bring good luck back to our life. It is a variation of greed too, but not as bad. Give first and you will have later. After a while of having moral growth, we will share just because we love, not caring any more about the good luck from karma. We kneel in front of the saints we deify, and we pray for their blessings to help us to eliminate our greed. In fact, with the blessing of saint or God, we will find it easier to eliminate greed. Because the greed is a kind of instinct that is very hard to change, we also compliment the people who themselves demonstrated a good example of nobleness. It is the law of karma, we ourselves will attain that we complement. That kid gave back the wallet to the owner. That man offered his land for building a new road. This woman shared a lot of possession with charity. Find and praise such real examples, and then our hearts will be better. Finally, we have to practice meditation to eliminate the greed hidden in the depths of our mind. With deep meditation, the greed will be erased entirely. Everyone must eliminate greed to stop committing new sins, especially the people who have more opportunities than others. Bankers, powerful people, talented people, confidential document holders, are the people who have many opportunities to get illegal money. Such people have to pay more attention to improve their morality to avoid greed in their hearts. Upon death all possessions will be left behind, only bad or good karma will follow us forever. Greed is not stable, only ethics creates happiness. Chapter 10. Realize one's own mistakes. It is very wise and courageous to realize one's own mistakes. Normally, we find it difficult to realize our own mistakes, although we can see others quickly. Even if other people have not made mistakes yet, we can see them in advance, faster than the speed of light. But we cannot see our own mistakes although we have made them already. Perhaps the instinct of protecting ourselves, loving ourselves, and praising ourselves has hindered from finding out our own mistakes. Even a robber-killer with enough evidence also thinks himself innocent. A person in a movie film confided to his cellmate that he was innocent. The cellmate, with a little bit sympathy, and a little bit irony, said that everyone there was innocent. It means that, if we ask each prisoner, no one feels guilty. An ethical person will behave in the opposite way, and try to find his or her own faults. In spite of the instinct to defend themselves, an ethical person keeps condemning themselves. Even when the fault belongs to others, an ethical person also tries to find himself partly responsible. A fight happened between two friends, we blame ourselves for not discovering their conflict sooner and preventing it. Rubbish is spread all over the street, we also blame ourselves for not having told everyone the need for protecting the environment. It is very brave to admit our faults. Everyone wants to be nice among other people. No one wants to be openly guilty. He who can admit guilt is really brave and strong. A coward always tries to implicate his faults to others, and lets others be dishonored. According to the law of karma, he who has realized his own sins will not be accused by the divine anymore. According to the law of society, he who quickly admits his own sins will have his sentence mitigated. Living a life of self-improving, only a person who can realize his own mistakes can correct them well. Thus, he who sees his own mistakes will have chances to correct the mistakes, and have chances to improve his own morality. He who realizes his mistakes will easily become modest. How can we be arrogant when admitting mistakes? But he who keeps being arrogant will be punished by karma. Karma will secretly urge him to make sins, so he will be shameful and arrogant no more. An arrogant person will make sins until the arrogance ends. Arrogance makes a person sin. Sin brings misery. So, arrogance brings misery, modesty protects people from sin. If there is no sin, there is no misery. So, modesty produces no suffering. He who knows his own mistakes will be humble. Humility makes no sin. No sin, no misery. So, realizing one's own mistakes causes no misery. Another great benefit of realizing mistakes is that he who can realize his own mistakes will have many experiences to teach morality for others. This world is craving morality. Man is not moral enough. Sin and suffering have never diminished in this life. Kindness is only a minority in some places. Most people keep treating others very badly. The need for teaching morality is enormous. Many nations and many religions also worry about teaching morality for their people, but the results are not very optimistic so far. We are short on ethics teachers who have enough inner strength to teach morality. 2 factors are needed to teach knowledge to others. These are solid knowledge and ability to communicate. But 3 factors are needed to teach morality. These are knowledge, communication skill, and an exemplary moral life, but the answer lies with people who can see their own mistakes. Chapter 11. Empathy. Empathy means to put oneself into another's position to understand their misery, their craving, and even their mistakes. Normally, when we see a sick person, we often express some emotions by words or action, and caring a bit. But we cannot understand how sick that patient is. We just look at his wrinkled and suffered face, and understand that he is in pain. We cannot ourselves feel all of the pain that is torturing him. Only if we are very smart, have intuition, and put ourselves into his position will we sense most of his pain. We were listening to a wife who was complaining about her husband who would not give up smoking. Her whole family's health was affected, and the quality of the indoor air was affected by smoke. The wife was not in the wrong, but if we put ourselves into the husband's position, we could sense how the addiction tormented him. In addition, many of his plans in his life had failed, and he always felt sad. Or we heard a story of a thief who broke into a house, was discovered, but ran and escaped. We can put ourselves into the thief's position to understand his psyche with greed, recklessness, influence from other bad people, and his life's deadlock. We can also put ourselves into the house owner's position to understand his fright and outrage when being robbed. We can, when we put ourselves into others' position, understand them more. Sometimes we will sympathize more, sometimes we will be more severe. Sympathizing means what we first perceived was not completely true, and his sins were not so evil, but we can also find out that a pitiful person is actually cruel and despicable. We must cultivate empathy to live this life. Life always has 2 sides, the outside differs from the inside, words differ from thoughts, actions differ from intent. We must look deeply into people's hearts to make our own attitude more accurate. We should not blame hastily when someone makes mistakes. We should not praise hastily when someone does good deeds. We need to understand their real nature. When in pain, when floundering, when making mistakes, everyone needs someone to lean on. Even when they make mistakes, they also need someone who will not hate them. A monk who was dissatisfied with his brethren has set out to lead a secular life. But another fraternity came and gave him love and trust, so the monk stood up to keep his religious life again. In order to be able to sympathize with others, we need wisdom, intuition, and love. Never hastily accuse anyone, never hastily hate anyone. Many times behind the mistakes, there is another cause. For example, an old man raped a child. Everyone despised him. But we will be calm and watch. Then we will discover that this sin had a source from his youth. At a young age, he offended a saint or a god. After offending the saint or god, a seed of sin appeared in his own heart. According to the law of karma, when the time comes, that seed will turn into action. That man will commit sin like a machine that was programmed. Then all of his honor is lost, and everyone will leave him alone. Another example is of a poor student coming to the deadline of a fee payment without any money. We will understand that there are thousands of thoughts dancing in his head, even thought of suicide. Sympathize, for we cannot ignore him. An ethical person can always empathize with others deeply. Then we will know how to act more positively. Chapter 12. Loyalty. Loyalty is to follow steadily one's own boss with 3 factors: discipline, emotion, and fate. For example, we follow our commander with the first factor, discipline. It means that we will obey him completely, or, we follow that commander with the second factor, emotion. It means that we love the commander very much, or, we follow that commander with the third factor, fate. It means that we put our life in his hand no matter how happy or miserable we will be. The ethic of loyalty is a big thing in one's life. Some people have nobody in their life to offer their loyalty to. Actually, if we have someone for us to offer our loyalty, we are more than just happy. Most people have shallow relationships. Or close relationships, sometimes respectful relationships, but finding a relationship to give our loyalty to with all our heart is very rare. The ethic of loyalty only goes with some noble cause. Lower than this is just business relationships or trying to maintain prestige for each other. Businesses need prestige. Friends need sentimental attachment. But only loyalty can reach the peak of an important fate of one's life. That is the relationship of a superior with his junior who together follows a noble ideal in the world. Mostly, when the people who together look after their country, struggle for justice, aim at sublime purpose, protect the earth's environment, they will have the power of ideal. This strength of ideal requires the ethic of loyalty to sustain their team. Loyal people will have a lot of good karma because thief and aggressor wants to destroy a country, they will first induce many people to become traitors. If an aggressor wants to ruin a religion, they also must first followers to become unfaithful. Those who induce many do not have the virtue of loyalty will become saboteurs, and therefore are guilty of grave sins. It will be a beautiful life if we can choose a leader, a master, an organization, and a country to offer our loyalty. But that decisive loyalty requires a great inner strength. A mediocre person cannot offer his or her loyalty to anyone have done great good. That will help their organization be stable. Chapter 13. Loving the Wonderful World of Plants. Tell me what you love and I will tell you how good your morality is. We have many decrees of love, love oneself only. This person has only one place to reach, hell, love one's own family, love one's own relatives as well, love one's own neighbors, and friends as well, love one's own colleagues, love other members in one's own association, religion, team, organization, love one's own country, love all humankind, love animals. Be a vegan now, and finally love the wonderful world of plants, trees, grass. Everyone has thought that vegetation is insentient, has no feeling, no thinking, and it resembles stone, so there is no need to love vegetation. Only people who discerning and shrewd can love vegetation. Trees are full of vitality. Many trees have lived thousands of years longer than a human lifetime. It is the vigorous vitality of trees which created the habitat for other kinds of animals. Humans are the pinnacle of life, not aware that they are walking on the life of plants. Vegetation has nurtured human life and coddled humankind. Anyone who understands about life must love our cradle, love our origin, and that is vegetation. Vegetation receives blazing sunshine to protect humankind, and turns sunlight energy into materials hidden for millions of years for the generations to come. It is very hot in summertime, but if we go through a forest, the air will be cooler right away. Trees have received the heat to give the coolness to others. Roots sprout downward into the deep ground to suck water up to the surface and help the existence of many other kinds on earth. There are trees, ponds, rivers, streams, lakes. Many planets store a great amount of water deep inside their ground, but they do not have trees to suck water up, so the surface of those planets do not have water for life. Our Earth has forests, so our Earth has water on the surface for all kinds of life to spring out. Each tree, each branch, each leaf, all are beautiful works of nature. When the season comes, flowers blossom splendidly, and the beauty of trees are incredible. Trees give fruits, and most fruits are edible for man and animal. If any fruit cannot be eaten, it will have some special medicinal value that can cure some kinds of disease. Wind stirs branches of trees, as if the trees are exercising with us. When a storm comes, trees curve their bodies to stop the wind to protect us. When a flood comes, trees slow down the flow to reduce the danger for us. The relationship between trees and us is limitless. He who has morality and wisdom will feel the connection between trees and man. Just some trees dropping their shadows on the yard can make us happy. Only some pieces of grass under our feet can make us cheerful. Yellow leaves falling down makes beautiful pictures for us. Petals of flowers falling and flying in the wind can make us some poems. Birds singing on the branches can give us a nice chorus. He who can love trees must be a very moral person. Especially when the deforestation is taking place nowadays fiercely. We should try to plant some more trees around the house to make a little more good karma for ourselves. He who can plant hundreds of hectares of forest will gain a big good fate and a long life in the future according to the law of karma. He can live sustainably without a catastrophic accident. Sages are the figures who can feel the simple spirit of a tree, so they do not want to harm any trees. He who can love green leaves will not be an average person. Chapter 14. Kindness. Kindness means to be ready to help others and to love helping others. This is opposite to one's own instinctive nature, which makes people become selfish and take care of themselves first. The kind people have a natural tendency to love helping others. It is a very long road for us to change our selfish nature to altruistic tendency, perhaps the beginning in many previous lives. If we look carefully into our heart, we will see that there is no tendency for helping people. It must come from a call to wake us and to think about helping the needy. Generally, we are not paying attention to take care of anyone else. We all know that if we can live beside a kind person, we will be very happy. That person will give us a hand when we are in need. That person will protect us when we are bullied. That person will be glad when we succeed. That person will console us when we fail. Even if we make mistakes, that person will not hate us. If there are many kind people around us, our life will be very happy. Everything above is true. But, there are two questions for us to think over. First, do we need to be kind to other people just as we want them to be kind to us? Second, what can we do to make everyone in the world be kind to each other? We need other people to be nice to us, and they also need us to be nice to them in return, but only 2 or 3 people being kind to each other will not be enough to make this world happy. We ourselves have to live kindly to others first, then our sincerity will help us to persuade other people to do the same. We daily tell ourselves that we must live kindly and helpfully to other people. We also pray for blessings from many gods and saints that we deify to support us in building the tendency to help people. We also admire other kind people, and the law of karma will build kind hearts in us. This world is mixed with good and evil together. This world is also our chance for us to fight with good in our hearts, and then we will leave for the next world to be judged. If the good wins, we will leave for a good and happy world. If the evil wins, we will leave for a bad and miserable world. The universe is always just. In this world of mixed of good and evil, if we can confirm our position for the good, we will pass a great exam of heaven and earth. Then we will be chosen for the next saintly world. In this good and evil world, if we can persuade many people to choose the good, we will become great and noble figures, and will be able to walk freely in angelic realms. At the beginning, we find it very difficult to be kind and to help a few people. Later, when we are acquainted with such kind living, we suddenly recognize that kindness is happiness. To live a kind life, we will spend a lot of time, money, labor, and mental effort. But in return, when we help others and make others happy, we immediately get our own happiness. Being aware of this, we will want to live kindly forever. Especially we will always call for people to live kindly with each other. Chapter 16. Proportional morality. In law and in philosophy, there are two things that always go together, duty and rights. When we fulfill our obligations, we deserve to receive some corresponding benefits. If we pay tax, duty, we deserve to live in a comfortable society, rights. If we do military service, duty, we deserve to live in a safe country, rights. Obligations and rights are fair and reasonable. Most selfish people search for benefits and avoid obligations. We want to be happy but do not want to give anything. That is immoral. The people who are average in morality will balance between devotion and enjoyment. After eating, we have to wash the dishes, but a highly moral person will prefer devotion to enjoyment. Prefer doing his duty than receiving benefits. He understands that the extra duties will become blessings for the future. He understands that the more he gives, the more happiness he gets. With such realization, a moral person always tries to take care of his or her community. They take care of their family considerately, they finish more office work than they are asked to, they notice their neighbors' needs and lend a hand before being asked. There is another reason that makes a person live responsibly. They love people. They love their family, they love their colleagues, they love their neighbors, they love their society, and they love their country. All of these loves make them like to take care of and help people around them. They not only finish their work but also strive to help others work. The father is earning money to support his family, but ready to give a hand with housework. Back home from the office, a clerk picks rubbish around his neighborhood. In his spare time, a businessman plants more trees for a forest. They all do more than they are obliged. They have love and are responsible. There are two factors to live responsibly. One is loving and the other is fulfilling one's duty for family and society. In addition, try to do more than one's own duty. What is duty? Generally, duty is to take care of the people's live. Duty is also to complete any work mandated in our society. If we want to live responsibly, and to take care of our people, we must give up many of our personal joys. He who debauched in his own joys will not be able to live responsibly. If he is addicted to alcohol, or gambling, or sexual desire, there is no place in his mind for his family or his country anymore. It is very hard to live responsibly. It is always hard at the beginning, but after a long time of living kindly, it will become joyful. A responsible person is giving joy to others, restraining his fun, and the law of karma will surely give him sweet fruits later. Chapter 16. Proportional morality. There is a principle that everyone has to accept: the higher the position, the more virtuous the person must be. Teachers must be more ethical than their students. Parents must be more moral than their children. Monks must have more virtue than their followers. Leaders must have more dignity than their people. That principle, that requirement, is very fair, very natural. If we forget this principle, we will be rejected. If we do not have enough virtue compatible to our position, we will lose that position. In ancient times, kings were designated to be saints, saintly kings. It was a tribute to a king, but it was also a requirement of that king. The king stood in the highest position in a nation. And because of this, standing at the highest position, he was required to be of the highest virtue as well. What can we call a highest virtuous person, if not a saint? So, the king must be a saint. We are often affected by the Western viewpoint that considers everyone to be equal in the law, and therefore we consider that the citizens must be equal to the leaders. In practice, leaders differ from ordinary people very much. Everyone is human with the same basic needs, but the duty and character of a leader is very different. Because of their very different duty and position, leaders are required to have a very high morality compared to ordinary people. It is considered normal if any citizen steals. But it will be very serious if an official commits theft. It is clear to everyone that no one accepts an official committing theft. Obviously, people require an official to have a higher virtue. That is the principle of proportional morality. He who has chosen the path of being a government official must have a method to improve his own morality constantly, because it is the principle of proportional ethics. Morality will decline day after day if it is not cultivated, taken care of, and protected. The work of improving one's own morality needs a logical method which is scientific, psychological, and suited to the law of karma. Day after day, a government official must remind himself of the many necessary codes of ethics. I will be patient during hardship, love my people, constrain my greed, be loyal to my country. By saying this to ourselves every day, morality will become our nature. The belief in the fairness of karma is also an important factor of ethics. It is a shortcoming if we speak about morality without speaking about the law of karma. Karma is not only spiritual but also scientific. He who is moral must believe in karma. People will respect any official who believes deeply in karma. It is the power of the spirit which can connect people and their leaders. Officials must also have a method to keep calm enough to face many big issues daily. Officials have a large amount of duties to take care of, in which many difficulties will always happen. Their salaries are low. Their time is never enough. It is a big pressure on their psyche. If they do not have a firm virtue, they will easily change. Ethics comes from saints, ancestors, philosophers, and famous men. Ethics also come from normal people around us. Ethics also come from our wisdom. We can learn ethics from many sources, and we can apply them into our lives. We will improve our ethics until we see grateful looks in the eyes of the people around us. Chapter 17. The Ideal Life. Many people live without any purpose, only doing what must be done. Other people live with purposes that are mediocre or ordinary, caring for themselves only. There are also some people in minority that live with lofty goals. People who live with noble goals are living to serve, to give, to make others happy. We call them ideal people. Their ideals will be basically the same, like making lots of effort, and struggling to bring about the benefits of life. But they will differ in details. Some people choose medicine so they can cure the poor, accepting being a poor doctor too. Some people choose wildlife protection so they can preserve the biodiversity on Earth. Some choose agriculture to search for new ways to produce more food for society. Some choose the press because they want to praise the multiplication of good and oppose evil. Some choose being a monk because they hope that the precepts will help their life be purer and easier to do charity. Some choose being a government official because they realize that the ideal of their party is to live for people and for country. No matter whether it is practical or not, the ideal person has a flame in his or her heart to strive, study, and improve themselves. That ideal will urge them to study and train, rather than allow us to be lazy. That ideal will foster them to increase their virtue and not allow them to live selfishly. What does not meet that ideal will be rejected. Sometimes our ideals are so weak, and our bad habits are too strong, so that vice will kill the ideals. For example, a patriot who is fond of beautiful women. He served his country very well at first, but later, when he was snared by a girl, he became a traitor. Or a person who worked in a social service and was in charge of searching for jobs for the youth. But he was hot-tempered. Once, in a small quarrel, he quit, and let the whole system fail. If our ideal is strong enough, it will heal our heart from deficiencies, develop our skills, and make our life meaningful. If we want to have an ideal, we must first read the stories of the lives and works of famous people in the world, and raise true admiration for them. The more we admire lofty people, the more we gain ideals for our souls. We must be careful to distinguish between idealism and ambition. Idealism and ambition resemble each other in lofty goals, doing great work, affecting many people. But idealism is altruistic, and ambition is selfish. Idealism is to search for others' happiness. And ambition is to search for one's own glory. Idealism makes our heart become as lofty as a saint. Ambition destroys our soul, making us evil.
Chapter 18. Cooperation.
There are many things that we cannot do by ourselves. There are many tasks that need a hand from others. Humans are intelligent, so they know that they must give a hand to another to make a common, modern, and comfortable life for all. Other kinds of beings such as animals are less intelligent than humans, so their cooperation is limited. That we assess the level of intelligence based on the level of cooperation is absolutely correct. The more intelligent, the more humans tend to cooperation. On the contrary, the less cooperation, then the less intelligent they are. The basic cooperation of a human family is with their wife, husband, and children. If working on one's own, he or she will have a deprived life. Focusing on food, they will be deprived of clothes. Focusing on housing, they will be deprived of food. But gathering into a family, they can share tasks and increase their productivity. Their life also increases as well. 2 or 3 people can build a bigger house with bigger columns, higher roofs, and larger walls. If building by themselves, they can only build a little hut. Society progresses when the whole tribe cooperates in hunting, farming, building, training, and defense. They are safer in a larger community and cooperate more. Then the progress of a society leads to a larger population, and needs stronger rulers. People must live in a very big cooperative environment. The greater cooperation they have, the better progress their society makes, which is much more than in the tribal ages. Nowadays, whether directly or indirectly, humans are cooperating in this vast global community of integration. By paying taxes, we are demonstrating our cooperation to the whole nation. Big progress follows great cooperation in the world. We will witness the progress of the world until people can start to make robots which have their own intelligence. We turn back to direct cooperation around us. The cooperation in the world is only indirect for us. But direct cooperation around us is really our duty, our intelligence, and our morality. The more intelligent we are, the more we work towards cooperation. The more moral we are, the more we want to protect that cooperation with love for each other. There is a factor that makes cooperation unstable, and that is laziness. A lazy person always pushes works to others, losing the fairness, and ruins the cooperation. Another factor that makes cooperation unstable is to want to stand out in one's own community, to want to be a hero, to want to take credit for another's work, or to want to boast about oneself, not realizing the teammate's strong points, and only focusing on others' deficiencies, also destroys cooperation. Cooperation is not only intelligent, but also moral. Morality makes cooperation happy. Intelligence makes cooperation effective. Chapter 19. Thriftiness. It is thriftiness if we do not throw away what can still be used more. Vietnamese culture encourages people to pick up a little grain of rice to eat and not waste it. That culture teaches us many precious things. Each grain of rice must pass a long and hard way before coming to our meal. Each grain of rice is very small, but is storing much labor inside. That we love every piece of rice means that we love the heart and the labor associated with it. It is ethics when we can love the heart and the labor of others. It will be ungratefulness if we ignore others' heart and labor. Everyone always values highly his or her labor, as well as his or her heart. If we put ourselves in the other's position, we will understand this. So, we must not ignore people, must not hurt them, must love and appreciate their hearts and labor. Heart and labor are expressed in all things, food, and money which come into our life. Of course, we can use all of them, but should not be foolish and throw things away when they can still be used by other people, in another time. He who can save little by little will be taken by the law of karma to a life without shortage. He who often wastes, often throws away, will fall into a destitute life. Especially he who used to throw food into the dustbin will search for food from dustbins again in the future. He who uses money for wrong purposes will be short of money. He who orders his people to do wrong things will live alone without any people around. He who destroys a good house, to build a new one, will be homeless one day. He who leaves a bottle with some water still in it will be thirsty in the desert. He who gets angry then smashes furniture will one day not be able to possess any furniture. He who leaves the stove burning for nothing one day will be short of fuel. On the contrary, he who can be subtle to save everything will not be destitute. Even people who can recycle rubbish and reuse thrown away things may become rich one day. When we look at a heap of trash in which many things can still be used, we understand the ungratefulness of man. So, he who can recycle things from trash has redeemed human sin. Such a person is noble. To save also differs from to be miserly. Miserliness means not using when needing to use. They fear things will get old if used. They fear spending money even when they need to. They go to a party without gifts, even knowing that it can break a good relationship. They are unwilling to buy food for their children, so they do not teach them about helping other people. It will be a poor life for such miserly people. Saving is morality while miserliness is cruelty. Generosity is morality, while wasting is cruelty. He who is moral and wise will walk the middle path between saving and helping others. He loves helping people but also loves being thrifty. Chapter 20. Regulations. If there is no rule for driving cars on the right side of the road, in some countries the left side, the traffic will be chaotic and cars will collide with each other all the time. Many other complicated traffic scenarios need to be addressed by the law of traffic. Thanks to the law of traffic, people use the roads effectively. In the sky too, it looks empty and large but has laws and routes everywhere. Planes must fly along the permitted routes, not flying as free as they want. Thanks to the law, thanks to the rules, society can be stable. Man keeps following the law. Communities keep following the regulations on how to treat each other. Codes of law were written very meticulously. But of course, with some errors. Thanks to the application of law to society, people can live together peacefully. If everyone abides by the laws, they will be fine. People will be fine and so will the government. Every community, office, monastery, association, etc. all have their own regulations to keep their community stable. If every member would remember and abide these regulations, then everything would be fine, but we are suffering because of this. To remember and to abide by these regulations is not so simple. No one can remember all his or her codes of laws of his or her country. Even lawyers cannot remember all the codes, so we do not expect that other people who never touched the law book can remember them. Lawyers must study the codes again all night long if they accept to take on a client. Many internal regulations are short or long depending on their organization. Not all of its members can remember its regulations. Short and simple regulations will not help the members to have enough guidelines to behave in complicated situations. Long and detailed regulations make it hard for their members to remember. It is very hard to remember all the rules. To abide the laws is very difficult. There are two kinds of people. The people who want to abide by the laws, and the people who want to live outside of the law. Ethical people tend to comply with the laws. Evil people tend to violate the laws. To abide by the laws, we have to give up our own intentions, reduce our own self-ego, and follow the will of someone else, who made the laws. Sometimes we want to hang out longer, but our parents' rule is to get home before 8 o'clock. We want to climb over the fence of a hospital to see a friend when the gate is closed, but the hospital's rule is to close the gate when the time to visit patients is over. We want to cross the street wherever we like, but the law defined that everyone must cross the street at the places that have white lines. We want this, but rules define that. If we have virtue, we will control our will and abide by the rules. That will help our society to be peaceful. If we want to abide by the laws, we have to control our will and leave our intentions when our intentions or will are opposite to the laws. He who can abide by the rules or codes must be a moral person, but, again, the principles are not always right. Rules can help society be peaceful, but rules are not that peacefulness. Cars must not move on the pavement, because the pavement is used for pedestrians. But sometimes a car must run onto the pavement to avoid an old person who has just fallen down in the road. This time, the car ran onto the pavement to help our society avoid an accident. Liquids are not allowed on board a plane. But patient may die in the middle of the sky if he does not have his own liquid cardio tonic along with him. A check-in stewardess recognized that the kids who forgot their papers cannot be terrorists, so she granted permission for them to board. Their parents were waiting for them at the destination. A policeman nearly stopped a bike that carried 3 at high speed, but he saw the person who sat in the middle looked pale and sick, with his eyes closed. So, he gave a signal letting the bike through to the hospital quickly. It is moral if we abide by the regulations, but sometimes, it is a higher level of wisdom and morality when we do not abide by the regulations in order to keep life in peace and in love. It is a kind of intolerance if we insist on obeying the rules without reconsidering the result. Insistence is not virtue. We have to remember that rules help life to be peaceful, but rules are not the peacefulness. Chapter 21. Patience. Not everything on earth will meet our wishes. Some people dislike us. Some circumstances are unjust for us. Sometimes we face hardship or shame. Of course, we believe that every hardship comes from mistakes in the past, this life or past lives. Everything has its own reason. Now we cannot remember what we have done in the past in detail. We are just courageous to admit mistakes for all our hardships. It will be a success if we can keep calm when we face hardship. There are many kinds of reactions when we face hardship. Sometimes it is anger, especially when we face an offense. Sometimes it is a sadness, especially when we face an accident or a sickness. Sometimes it is a hatred. Especially when we face harm or dishonor. Sometimes it is a vindictiveness, kept for a long time, that we cannot retaliate against. Sometimes we are hurt when we are not respected enough in public. If we can keep calm when facing adversities, we already have a strong spirit in life. Most great men can keep calm in adversity. If we can keep calm, we will be able to find the best solution. He who gets angry can be unthoughtful and ignore the consequences. Then a bad consequence will come true. After being insulted, a man stabbed his rival, then ran all his life. If we think it over again, we will see that the insult was very light, and the stabbing is too heavy. Using a heavy thing to pay for a light thing is a waste of our life. That is not wise. If we can be patient, someone will call us weak, someone will say we are being controlled, but only we know that we are cultivating inner peace to improve our virtue. A calm mind is our precious asset. We will not be stupid and lose it. The calm mind is our happiness, our wisdom, and our morality as well. Why should we get angry and lose our ethical assets for a guy who just says some words that are not worth a penny? Adversity is painful, so why would we be sad and get more lost? Or that guy harms us and causes us pain, and we keep revenge in our mind, which makes us lose more. There are 3 ways to keep calm. The first is to consider our karma. Perhaps we had hurt somebody in the past, so now we receive the result. By accepting our own mistakes, we become stronger, and our hearts become calm. To accept one's own mistakes is a good method to make our heart stronger. The second is to practice meditation of Buddhism, Qigong, yoga. Thanks to watching the breath for a long time, our mind will become calmer and calmer. Now when facing adversities, we can keep calm easily. The third is to pay respect to the saints that have absolute inner peace. We will find in our own religion the saints that have inner peace, and we will kneel down in front of him to express our homage to him. The law of karma will give us a good result, and will make our mind calm in adversities. If we honor the holy, we will get the qualities of holiness. That is the law. Another excellent method to keep calm is to love and to forgive. He who can develop his morality to a very high level can spread his love to all beings, and will have a heart that is great enough to overcome any adversity. The person harming us is also a being to be loved, so we can easily forgive him. We will not hate anybody. We just need to educate him to become a good person, that is all. He who can be patient like that can redeem all past sins, make new good karma, and be an example for other people. Even ghosts must admire and respect him. Chapter 22. Praise and Encouragement. Normally we easily find another's mistakes and hurry to criticize him. There is something very strange in our heart that make us tend to stare at others' mistakes then criticize cruelly. Something secret in our heart makes us feel that everyone is bad, and only one person is not bad. Of course, the one person is ourselves. Criticizing hurts others. Hurting makes social relations worse. Worse relations means love gradually goes away. Less love makes our society less happy. So, criticizing makes life gloomy. Criticizing also creates hostility. Criticizing makes a person lonely because he will be hated later from our criticism. Finally, we make bad karma by criticizing. Criticizing is cruel because it makes people feel dishonorable. People feel pain if being dishonored. Then the law of karma will make he who often criticizes be hurt in return. However, criticizing becomes addictive. He who gets used to criticizing will find it hard to stop, because a feeling of secret pleasure appears in his heart when he criticizes others. This pleasure becomes addictive. He thinks that it will be funnier if criticizing someone in a conversation. The more he criticizes, the more sins he makes, and the more addicted he gets. The more addicted he gets, the more criticizing he will make. The sin increases, only the mouth does the criticizing, but all our blessings go away, while criticizing makes bad relationships for people. On the other hand, compliments make everybody come together. Criticizing is a sin, while compliments give blessings. But it is not always easy for us to praise someone else, but we must see the goodness in others before we can praise them. This is very difficult, because something secret covers our eyes from others' goodness. We must have a high level of wisdom and morality to perceive others' goodness. Compliments have at least 3 good outcomes. First, it makes people's relationships better. Second, it creates good karma. Third, it encourages people to strive more. Of course, there are some compliments that make people conceited, self-satisfied, and strive no more. But there are timely compliments that makes people get back their strength and step forward. He who can usually praise must be a kind person. That is why in civilized countries, when being praised, we often reply, "Thanks, you're very kind." An insular person will not give a compliment even when he sees good in another. He is stingy with compliments. On the contrary, a generous person will quickly praise when seeing good in another. Sometimes there is no need to praise someone directly. We can praise him to everybody else, and that can make life nicer. Criticizing paints a gloomy picture of life, but a compliment paints a beautiful one. According to the law of karma, if we praise someone for his goodness, we will acquire such goodness as well. If we criticize someone for any of his deficiencies, we will commit the same mistake. So, why do we not praise very often and avoid criticizing? However, in this world there are many people who are not good, do evil things, cause harm to others, and make false claims for themselves. We do not have enough good karma to blame them, not enough words to advise them, not enough strength to rebuke them. If we keep silent, we become an accessory to them, and this is a sin too. Those evil people still have many past blessings, so no one can beat them down. It is hard to solve this situation. Then someone asks us about those evil people, we fear making the mistake of criticizing, and we do not tell the truth, so we are guilty of covering up. At that time we must tell the truth, not for our benefit but for justice and for other people. Besides, we always try to practice giving compliments to encourage everyone around us. Chapter 23. Dedication. Somebody has many blessings to be able to choose an occupation that he likes. Others do not have many blessings, so they cannot choose favorite occupation and must be glad with any job. If they do not love their jobs, they keep thinking about another one, and they will be distracted from their current tasks. They do not work well in the current job and have no new job either. The moral point here is, love what you are doing, it is better than waiting to do what you love. People always say that, I like this work, I do not like that work. If I can work at what I like, I will be happy and work effectively. If I am forced to work on an unfavorable job, I will be sad and work ineffectively. Yes, everyone says the same, but not everyone can have their favorite job. It is difficult for us to be stuck with disliked tasks. We cannot escape from such situations. Either we have to work joyfully and effectively, or we are unemployed. Our favorite job is still out there. The good thing is that if you do not like it, you have to like it. It is morality, it is wisdom, and it is willpower too. We must think that heaven and earth gave us the job, life gave us the job, so we have to show consideration for it. Consideration for every job is morality. Perhaps we do not like this job, but someone else like it. If we disdain this job, we disdain others' hearts too. We must respect other people's favorites. Respecting the likes of others is ethical too. If we can offer our dedication to current works, we will get many blessings gradually. When we have enough blessings, we can choose what job we want. It is really ethical if we compel ourselves to love our current work. Our ancestor picked up a little grain of rice for not wasting anything in life, so we cannot waste a job in our life by not loving it. No matter what job it is, we love any job that comes to us. We love, dedicate, and work effectively, even if we do not have any job yet. We must do charity work with no salary, such as cleaning rubbish around our community, filling holes in the roads, cleaning the canals, visiting the elderly, taking care of the sick, giving a hand to build houses for our neighbors. It is not easy to do voluntary social tasks, but we must do it happily. Then one day we have a job to earn our living, we can offer our dedication for it wholeheartedly. We force our minds to love our current work, then happiness will come to us. Chapter 24. Respectful politeness. Politeness means showing respect to seniors through words, gestures, and even in thoughts. People of each region will have their own way to express that respect, but all of them resemble each other with the gesture of lowering their heads, the words of saying yes, and the look of respect to others. Humans behave to each other on some level sentiment, or some degree of emotion. Negative levels have negative sentiments like hate, scorn, coldness. Remove the negative sentiments and get up to 0, which is neither love nor hate. Above 0 are positive sentiments, which are sympathy, love, respect, admiration. The negative sentiments often cause chaos for society and even for our lives. He who has negative sentiments will easily commit sins and damage his own blessings. If we usually scorn or hate other people, we will pay some price according to the law of karma. A light price is loss of talent, a heavy price is loss of virtue, and an extremely heavy price is insanity. Even scorning normal people is a sin for us. If we scorn a saint, we will lose all of the blessings that we have acquired from long ago. On the contrary, positive sentiments lead to a lot of blessings. If we keep loving people, and respecting others, our lives will be on the up and up. There are some kinds of distortions of the positive sentiments as the fanatical likes, hooligan fan, or the love of men and women, related to sexual desire, which will not be discussed here. Each type of sentiment consumes our energy, both physical and mental energy. Hate causes exhaustion, as does love. Love also causes exhaustion. The exhaustion requires us to stop and recover the energy. Romantic lovers often meet such situations. They are exhausted from passionate love, then motionless. Their energy needs to be recharged to go on loving again. If they do not understand this rule, the rule of exhaustion from love, they will reproach each other, and their love will break down. The respecting mind consumes more energy than other sentiments. Only he who is very healthy can respect the seniors all the time. Almost all teenagers feel tired because they have respected their seniors so much. Now they try to avoid showing their respect. But this will be a disaster for their life later. Without respecting their seniors, their minds will weaken, their mental immunity will be reduced, and they will easily be corrupted. Only the child who is intelligent and strong can keep politeness to go from adolescence to adulthood. In religions, the monks and followers are trained to have a highly respecting heart, thus, they have considerable inner strength. That is why they can attract the people more than others. The respecting heart makes inner strength, that is the rule, the hearts with homage to the saints, and respect sentiments. They consume to the seniors are the hearts which have highly positive islet of energy, but make many blessings as well. The child who can respect their seniors can acquire many successes in the future. He who can respect a saint extremely, will himself have enough inner strength to become a saint in the future. To become a saint is to be very intelligent, very moral, and very dedicated to life. If we have the heart to respect other seniors, that heart will be manifested by polite words, modest behaviors, and deferential attitudes. If a family can equip its children with respectful politeness, that family has given them a great fortune for the future. If a person can implement respectful politeness, he or she will get many blessings in the lives to come. So, let us know how to lower our heads to greet, to say yes, to be docile, and to respect, even we may kneel down in front of things that are divine. Chapter 25. Diligence. Diligence differs from dedication a little bit. Dedication means commitment to working hard in the duty of work, but diligence means to work hard in everything necessary in life. Many people can be dedicated in the office, but do not want to work hard at home, are lazy doing exercise and do not take care of the family, pleading exhaustion from working at the office. Diligence includes many meanings in many areas. They are diligent doing exercise, practicing piano, doing homework, helping with the housework, doing the garden, picking up the rubbish on the street, joining charities, joining the social activities to call for patriotism, practicing a religious life, writing literary works. Diligence differs from passion. Passion is to work very hard on what we like. Diligence does not require a passion, we just do it because it is the right thing to do. A diligent person is a person who has a strong will to conquer the laziness deep in his or her instinct. If a person is diligent, he or she will have a strong to study for betterment. If a person is diligent, he or she will devote themselves to serve the others and will be able to get good blessings. If a person is diligent, he or she will try to research and then invent something very new for life. The psyche of diligence is made by two factors. One is the will of our spirit, the other is the health of our body. The will is supported by good karma, by the force of wisdom, and by sentiments, love, hate, or right understanding all help create the will. When we know something is right, we try to do it. That is the will made by wisdom. When we love something, or hate something, and then we try to do something, that is the will made by sentiments. Good health can make a better will. The person who is weak will also get lazy easier. Vietnamese traditional medical believes that malfunction of the kidneys also leads to a lazy psyche. Thus, we should try to do exercise regularly to keep healthy for a diligent psyche. The diligent people easily win others' respect, and the lazy people are easily scorned. Laziness causes a person to become useless in his community and his blessings dry up quickly. When the blessing dries up, that person will be scorned. People even concluded that the lazy person is evil. He is evil because he let other people do hard work for him. If we recognize that we are not diligent, we must correct it immediately, because it is a very big mistake in our life. We must practice or pray or do anything to become a very diligent people. We must not only be diligent for today but also diligent for many lives to come. Chapter 26. Courage. Courage is daring to do difficult and dangerous things, especially the right and noble things. Of course, bad people, who dare to break into others' houses or commit murder, are hard-hearted. These people are not deserving of the lovely word, courage. The beautiful word, courage, is only appropriate for heroes. A firefighter runs through flames to search for trapped victims. A pupil dives into the river to rescue friends. Ordinary citizens fight against deforesters with wooden sticks. A soldier runs and keeps shooting to attract enemies for his teammates' safe withdrawal. An explorer keeps trekking into deep caves without the fear of obstacles ahead. An old man gives away his last loaf of bread to a hungrier one without worrying about his own hunger. In our lives, courage is really needed for many people, situations, and circumstances. It is thanks to brave people, who have the courage to do difficult and dangerous things, that humans can exist and progress. Doing good deeds is moral in itself. However, doing good deeds in difficult and dangerous conditions is a very high level of morality. Helping others with the potential of harming ourselves is a great challenge. Two people see a girl fall into a river. One of them calls for help and the other dives into the water to rescue the girl. We may think that the latter, who dares to dive into the river to rescue the girl, is braver. However, we should not jump to this conclusion. For the man who doesn't dive into the river may not know how to swim. Therefore, he is reasonable in his response to the situation. Otherwise, he will become another victim. He may be the sole breadwinner of his family. He may be keeping the nation's confidential information, and so on. In sum, as he can't sacrifice his life for the victim, he can only call for help. Therefore, we can't make a moral comparison in this case. Of course, the latter, who dives into the river to rescue the girl, is a really courageous and righteous man. A man who acts for the right things without the fear of difficulty and danger is a brave person. If the level of danger is high when doing a great good deed, such a person is celebrated as a hero. Thus, heroes are those who have courage to do great and good things in challenging and dangerous situations. Often, these heroes will be born into the realm of gods after death, as their minds are so strong and determined. If these heroes keep attachment to their merit, and they are very bad-tempered causing fear in others, then they are reborn humans. If these heroes let go of their merit, they will remain to be powerful gods in the invisible realm. Courageous people are those who have a strong mind which helps them overcome fear of danger. However, it takes time for these people to build up such a strong mind. Being industrious in doing small good deeds again and again in combination with the admiration of earlier heroes, will strengthen our mind gradually. Once the mind is strong enough, the courage will appear. Only courage can make us do righteous things in difficult and dangerous situations. Facing a righteous thing, we can either choose to carry out an action or not. If we actively respond positively to such a moral dilemma, we will have blessings entailing favorable outcomes. For instance, we can ignore and go away when we see a family standing and crying in front of their burnt house. Or we can choose to approach them and offer help. It takes time and our money to help this family. The time for us to enjoy the blessing that resulted from this action is not necessarily obvious. However, many unexpected outcomes come from this action, i.e., we suddenly become more intelligent, stronger, and distance ourselves from bad friends, if we choose to ignore and offer no help. There are a wide range of bad consequences coming afterwards unexpectedly, like getting less intelligent, having a weaker mind, blurry eyes, and difficulty in achieving any life plans. Therefore, we should seize an opportunity to do every single small good deed, building up blessings gradually so that courage will become a personality trait. Chapter 27. Self-respect. Self-respect is not about respecting ourselves, although the word form itself seems to carry such a meaning. Self-respect here is to keep ourselves away from being looked down upon because of our faults. For instance, a person with bad table manners will eat too quickly and make others stop eating and look at him with annoyed eyes. Another person can't stand it and whispers in his ear, "You'd better keep self-respect while eating." This means that the person should eat in a way that doesn't make others look down upon his fault. In another case, there is a man coming to visit his wealthy friend. After chatting for a while, his wealthy friend throws a wad of cash in his face and says, "I give it to you." As this man has self-respect, he refuses the gift given in such a disrespectful manner. The basic meaning of self-respect is not to allow others to look down upon our faults. If others still look down upon us although we don't have any fault, we just neglect it. This is the difference. If we feel dismayed easily just because of another's disrespectful manners, this is no longer self-respect. Rather, it just reflects the fact that our ego is too big. Self-respect is about feeling ashamed when others look down upon our faults. Therefore, those who have self-respect always care about their personality. They don't let others look down upon them by avoiding making mistakes. Thus, self-respect should be fully understood as trying our best to maintain our dignity and respect from others. Therefore, we should seize an opportunity to do every single small good deed, building up blessings gradually so that courage will become a personality trait. Those who have self-respect don't like begging others for things. They live in accordance with their blessings. They don't need donations coming along with a disrespectful manner. This makes others think of people with self-respect as impertinent. However, those with true self-respect will be willing to plead for others. They won't beg for themselves, but they are willing to do so for others. If self-respecting people understand the law of karma, they will try their best to do good deeds. They don't want to be looked down upon for lacking blessings. If they don't have sufficient blessings, they will tolerate it instead of begging. They will try their best to gain blessings rather than doing bad things. This is because they don't want to be despised. Self-respect is also different from taking offense at things others say. Taking offense is about getting angry and depressed when being insulted. Self-respecting people won't get angry and depressed when they are insulted. They just won't allow themselves to make mistakes which results in being disrespected by others. So, self-respecting people always cultivate both morals and blessings. Lacking in blessings will bring disrespect, and lacking in morals will also bring disrespect. A righteous man is so careful about avoiding fault that even evil spirits and saints have to pay respect toward him. Therefore, we should seize an opportunity to do every single small good deed, building up blessings gradually so that courage will become a personality trait. Chapter 28. Beauty and Cleanliness. It is often said that the most important aspect of an individual is their inner virtue, not their presentation. We should not care about others' appearance, and they do not need to look clean or attractive. This is because we do not know the whole truth, and the truth is everything. Inside or out, small or large, they are all indicative of something that was written in the laws of heaven and earth. Those who have morals are those with wisdom. To be morally right is to know whether something is wrong or not. Black or white, right or wrong, are all hard to recognize. Ones who can recognize and comprehend the complex yet subtle and abstract concepts are certainly ones that have wisdom. The wiser a person is, the more virtuous they are. For example, a person who is highly educated but antagonistic has an intellect with not enough wisdom to recognize that they are wrong. In that virtue and intellect, one will deny too the reason why, as anyone who has wisdom and morals things, dirtiness and ugliness. There is no need to know also does not accept dirtiness and ugliness. It is easy to understand why dirtiness is not desirable. Dirtiness damages the quality of human life and should be avoided. On the other hand, ugliness ruins the soul of everyone and should also be kept away. If you take notice, a child who has an ugly childhood will grow up to have a disrupted soul. However, if the child has had a rough upbringing yet does not accept the situation that they are currently in, they will grow up to be emancipated from their horrible fate and will be able to better themselves. The beauty of the scenery in the house, the beauty of the surrounding countryside, the beauty of the streets, the beauty of the mountains and rivers of the country are all silently educating our souls. It is easy to see that people who live in a clean country are also more civilized. Parents must create a beautiful and clean environment, from their houses to the neighborhood so that their children's souls can be educated gradually, silently, day by day. Do not let ugly homes and neighborhoods ruin your children's souls. If a child is to rebel against their parents, it is likely that they have been brought up in an ugly environment, hence their soul is also damaged. Wisdom helps us to create beauty, and virtue helps us to create simplicity. Beautiful but simple, that is the truth. When we see a work of art that is beautiful yet too intricate, we can understand that the author is very intelligent, but is not balanced with morality. However, a work of art that lacks details to the point that it is sketchy says that the author is very gentle but not balanced with wisdom. Beautiful but simple, that is the truth. Visual beauty is one thing, but the beauty of sounds, the beauty of sense, the beauty of philosophies, the beauty of martial arts, the beauty of nature are all worthy of appreciation. Only those who have the wisdom and virtue know how to feel and enjoy such beauty, just in life. As very intellectual, moral people can create such beauty in life. We can cultivate virtue and practice wisdom by keeping our surroundings clean and beautiful. We environment clean and beautiful. Can educate our children by guiding them to keep the beauty and cleanliness. What a powerful magic. Chapter 29. Compassion. Compassion is a feeling of pity witnessing humans or animals falling into sorrowful, miserable, and mourning situations. It seems to be easy to talk about compassion. However, in reality, it is very difficult to have such a noble virtue like compassion. Most of us may laugh and find it funny when seeing someone slip. When witnessing others' deaths in accidents, most of us may feel afraid. Most of us may look down upon others' poverty. We may also be indifferent when others are sick. Compassion is rare in this world, so when will we have true compassion? That will happen when we can feel the sorrow of others as if it were our own. If we can do so, naturally, we will have a shared feeling with others' sorrow. Then we can say that compassion comes to exist in our personality. Imagine someone who has never felt pity, then one day, that person undergoes the terrible pain of kidney stones. After that, the feeling of compassion only arises in that person's mind when he meets people with kidney stones. Those who have wisdom and virtue won't wait until they experience the misery of others to have shared feelings with others' sorrow. The feeling of compassion is always ready and available in these people. Those who have sympathy often do good deeds, rescue others, and do charity. Once we do good deeds, the law of karma will not ignore it and we will be rewarded in a much greater way. This means that those who have compassion are those who have great blessings. If compassion appears at an early stage of one's life, this person tends to choose a career in which he may sacrifice himself for others. What we need to do is to make the feeling of compassion come to exist in our mind, as we are not sure that we are born with compassion. We have to force ourselves to be compassionate for humans and animals suffering misfortune. We can keep telling ourselves again, and again like that. Gradually, the feeling of compassion will come to exist little by little in our minds. If we keep telling ourselves like that in combination with helping others, humans and animals, in our capability, the feeling of compassion will grow greater and greater in our minds. There are some whose careers are inherently characterized with saving others, such as doctors, caregivers, nurses. They entered the profession with the noble hope to save patients. However, once involved in the profession for a long period, these people continuously experience work-related stress and whining patients. They become too tired to maintain compassion. They will try to protect their souls by staying calm, relaxing, and finally become cold-hearted, emotionless. It is easy to witness a situation in which patients keep whining and their family members are worried sick while doctors literally appear cold-hearted and emotionless. They may explain that they are letting the patients experience the pain to diagnose the disease easier. It is rare to have those who can maintain compassion after years working in healthcare services. The emotionless and cold-heartedness is a real phenomenon which seems to be necessary for doctors to remain calm and perform proper treatment. We should understand those who work in healthcare services. However, losing compassion means losing a great wealth of our souls. Only stone seems to not need compassion. Once people witnessed a scene in which a lion caught a little deer and then expressed its emotional attachment. When there was another lion approaching to bite the little deer, the former tried its best to fight against this lion to protect the deer. Many people watched this video with admiration. It is the same case for humans. Those who have compassion will receive admiration and love from others. Even saints and gods will also love those who have great compassion. Compassion is an essential attribute of morality. We should step back to ask ourselves, have we got sufficient compassion to live this life? If not, we ought to try our best to develop compassion. If just a little, we should cultivate it so that it grows much greater. This world is full of misery and sorrow, and it is forever in need of compassion from humans. Chapter 30. Forgetting our benevolence. When we have a good heart, we always want to do good deeds for life. Doing good deeds become a source of happiness for virtuous people. They will feel inadequate, empty for a day when they do nothing good for others. A father arrives home with tired face after work and lies on a sofa. His daughter asks, "Daddy, every day you arrive home tired after work. However, some days, you look happy and other days, you look unhappy. Why is that, Daddy?" The father replies, "I was not aware of that, my dear. Maybe some days I helped people to solve their problems and this pleases my mind. The other days, I got stuck and couldn't resolve the citizens' problems. Those days often make me feel down." Doing good deeds brings strength to those who carry them out. Those who do more good deeds will have both physical and mental strength. However, when trying to devote our body and spirit to doing good deeds, this action will imprint deeply in our mind. Such an imprint also create a feeling of pride and self-praise. If this feeling goes too far, it will turn into us measuring our benevolence, relying on our benevolence, feeling attachment to our benevolence, showing off our benevolence, and making others feel uncomfortable. When doing good deeds, we will have blessings. However, if we show off, such blessings will be reduced. Our blessing storage even is subtracted in terms of quantity if we keep talking about our good deeds. Once our blessing storage falls into the negative, our life will remain miserable in spite the fact that we keep doing good deeds. It is not easy to forget our benevolence. As we do good deeds, which cost our labor, time, spirit, money, it is not easy to brush them off completely. However, we must let them go by any means. Morality requires us to do as many good deeds in life as possible. A high level of morality also requires our ability to forget our benevolence. These are two extreme dilemmas in a human psychology. We ought to be determined to make it. Doing good deeds is an upward step, but remembering them is a backward step. Humans keep going upward and backward like this, which prevents them from attaining absolute sainthood. Once stepping on the path to seek virtue, we must not stop in the middle of the road. We have to reach the topmost of holiness. In order to attain the topmost of such sainthood, we must overcome obstacles. Attachment to our benevolence is one of these obstacles. Remembering good deeds that we have done brings self-praise and pride. We have to practice forgetting our benevolence. Give them away to the universe. We just beg to be a tiny dust particle flying away on a windy afternoon. Chapter 31. Cannot lend a hand. Dad asked his son who was playing a game on the computer, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" The son replied, "I think I will not need to have a job, Dad." "What do you mean, son? All work will be done by robots. Robots will plant the rice, robots will build houses, robots will seize the criminals, robots will run the countries. Generally, humans will not need to do anything because robots will do everything, but robots will not eat for you, because if robots eat, you will not be full. It is not logical if robots sleep and you are healthy. No robots will use a toilet and you are clean. These basic needs can be carried out by ourselves only, not robots. You cannot get knowledge if robots study. Without studying, you are but a walking piece of meat. You cannot become robust if robots exercise for you. You cannot become moral if robots improve their virtue. No matter how far technology will advance, there are basic things that are a human's responsibility. If we hand over everything for robots, we will be useless on Earth and do not need to exist anymore. If you want to be a valuable person in an extremely progressive world, you must throw away that game machine, stand up and go jogging, open the books to study, do your homework and improve your morality. We, your parents, cannot live forever to earn money for your whole lifetime. You must be good at everything to keep the many conveniences you receive from life. You must be talented and moral enough to contribute to your life. The kid just understood enough, but we must understand more. No matter how far technology advances, we humans will always need to understand about karma, rebirth, ethics, love, compassion, humanity. Humans cannot stand still at a mediocre position with good and evil mixing. Humans must rise to a new saintly position. We believe that somewhere in the universe, there can be many planets in which their humans reach a balanced stage of technology in ethics. Technology and science support ethics. Ethics controls them. We are afraid that our Earth develops technology only, ignores ethics, and no one knows what the consequences will be. The more technology progresses, the more humans need to reach a very high level of ethics. It is the human sense of right and wrong begging. Anyone anxious about the future of humanity must be aware of this problem. Chapter 32. Inheritance. The four brothers and sisters sat around the table with the mourning bands on their heads. Everyone was sad and tense. The eldest brother said, "Now we have lost both parents. What a big loss we have got. The funeral is over. We had a better talk about the fortune now because tomorrow we will leave for our own homes. It is very hard to call for a full meeting. I am the eldest brother who can represent our parents to make a decision here. I suggest an equal division. Everything will be divided into 4 equal parts," the youngest brother said. "No matter what you decide, this house is mine. I took care of our parents here, so I will keep this house to worship Dad and Mom here," the sister said. "This house is on 5,000 square meters of land and is almost all of the fortune." "No way, brother. Each of us has his or her own family that needs to be raised. This fortune must be shared with our descendants for the sake of our parents and ancestors. I have 4 children, so it is fair that I will take the bigger share," the eldest brother said. "Although our youngest brother directly took care of Dad and Mom, the monthly money sent to him was from me. The youngest took care of Dad and Mom but ate into my money also, so what was his merit? I must take this house to use as a temple to worship our ancestors." The third brother stood up and said, "Please put me aside, I refuse the inheritance. I am a teacher and I can earn my living. I teach ethics to my students, so I must be a good example to them. If my students know I am concerned about this fortune, they will not accept my teachings anymore. I say goodbye." Then he walked out. The difficulty for a person who teaches ethics is that he or she must live a very good life. If he or she wants to live a good life, he or she must not desire fame and fortune. If he or she does not desire fame and money, he or she must accept many disadvantages. The teacher of ethics must believe in the nobleness of his work, find happiness from that work, and look for no other benefits. If they believe in the law of karma, they can be peaceful and think that there is an invisible justice that will compensate them in the future. This world is extremely in need of ethics, so it needs lots of ethics teachers. But who can live a simple life to be able to speak about morality with a flame in their hearts? Lacking ethics teachers, this world is on the brink of danger. Human souls are easily occupied by cruelty, and then they will spread that cruelty into others' souls continually. That makes the world darker. We wish for a lot of people to be able to sacrifice their life, to refuse cruelty and greed, to improve their virtue, and to be excellent teachers in morality for the world. Morality is an invisible thing that can go from one heart to another. Chapter 33. Homeless. A poor man pleaded with the bread peddler, "Please give me half of the loaf, or I cannot sleep tonight for hunger." The bread peddler cut half of the loaf and gave it to the man. Immediately 2 other men asked for more bread for the same reason. Sighing, the bread peddler gave them bread, then asked, "Why are you so miserable?" One man replied, "I was very rich before, enough of everything, like houses, cars, girls, and I could eat what I wanted. Something like this bread would be thrown into the bin. I did business in stocks, bought when the price was low and sold when the price was high. I could earn billions with each transaction. Once, believing in the market, I put in all my money. Borrowed a big loan from others, and bought a huge amount of stocks. No one knew that, its price went down until the company went completely bankrupt. My stocks were but a pile of waste paper. Immediately, everything disappeared from me. Hick hick, it is lucky for me now when you are very kind to feed me. I have never before been a beggar, so I cannot beg. Well, I am very hungry. The second recounted, I was extremely rich before. I was in Hong Kong in the morning, then Macau in the evening, and could win at the gambling machines there. But I did not know that it was only a trick. I finished all of my money in a fierce game. They escorted me to the airport with a ticket home. My fortune was gone with a big debt. I must run for the rest of my life. The third said, I put all of my money to invest in Bitcoin. I bought an electric generator to have enough power to run the computers day and night. I became a billionaire in that virtual world, until one day no one accepted its value anymore. All the governments forevermore prohibited virtual money. Eventually, I came back to my real world in this beggar body, very sad. The bread peddler said, you three resembled each other in the way you did business. Your businesses brought no benefits for lives, just for your interest only. You received your good karma from the previous lives and could be successful for a while. When your past good karma ran out, you became decrepit like this. For me, I push this vending machine to sell bread. I have something to serve in real life. I earn very little, but it is stable. You should think again. Even in this poor situation, you must try your best to do something useful with your life, for everybody. Who knows, one day you can stand up honorably. Food, clothes, and money are all from someone else in this society and which come to us, and in return, we must contribute something useful to this society. It is fair. The more we contribute useful things in life, the more life will bring back benefits for us. If we see money only, nothing but money, and not our responsibilities, and do nothing useful for society, then money will also leave us. The smart people will find any way, any occupation, any chance to contribute more than to enjoy. We must try to keep the formula, contribution minus enjoyment, leaving a plus. That plus number will be our good karma to keep our life in peace and happiness. Chapter 34. The Child. Khan laughed happily, said goodbye to his friends, and got on his father's motorbike. The father asked, when you are so happy, you can forget something. Check everything again, son. Where is your graduation certificate? Khan embraced his father and said, you just remind me all my life about forgetting something. I've checked already, Dad. The father rode Khan to a luxury restaurant to congratulate Khan's graduation today. After finishing the meal, the father told Khan to come and sit beside him and said, today you graduated from university, so I look at you as having reached adulthood, and you will be ready to hear a secret story. Just keep calm. Khan felt so tense and guessed that it would not be good. The father told the child. Long ago, our family was very poor, so I had to move here and there to earn a living. Your brother and sister were small and too young to go to school. It usually took 1 year for me to come home to give your mother money. Once, I came home, your mother pregnant has been for 5 months. Obviously, that baby was not mine. Your mother confessed that she had a relationship with another man, and she would accept whatever I did. I seemed to be falling down into a deep abyss. I could not sleep all that night. Your mother sat and wept. At near dawn, I understood everything, helped your mother up, held her in my arms, and said that I would accept you, my child. Our family would move to another place to escape the criticism of the neighbors. If your mother kept loving the man, I would give up, just take you children away. But your mother said that her momentary impulse was not love. If I allowed her to live, she would live. If I told her to die, she would die. Furthermore, after learning of the pregnancy, the man had run away. I made another plan to earn a living close to home, and thanks to heaven and Buddha, everything went well. I did keep my promise. I have been loving you very much, even more than your brother and sister. Today I look back and feel happy because I decided the right action that night. If I had been jealous, angry, resentful and had reacted fiercely, you might not have had a peaceful life and completed your studying like this. You are grown up now, so you have the right to know the truth about your life. You may leave to look for your blood father if you want to. For me, I love you as much as my life, and cannot do otherwise." Khan wept and said in tears, "I did not have another blood father but you. I will not wonder about such a biological father. All my life, only you are my father." Khan embraced his father and cried, "There must be great morality to overcome such a family tragedy. Jealousy and selfishness in love and marriage are extreme, and most people fail. It is very rare for people to have enough ethics to defeat the psyche of jealousy. The person in this story is a rare example in life, but it is true. We must also talk about the crisis in the current society which confronts the lack of faith in love and marriage. Both men and women find it very easy to lose their hearts when they meet a new person. Although they might not like the new one so much, they accept getting into a sinful adventure. Just a little is like they can forget their current marriage. Love and marriage in this time are very fragile. The whole of society is the same, not stable. When we meet a person with some good points, we will like him or her naturally. This is the moment that challenges our morals of faithfulness. He who lacks the morals of being faithful will get overtaken by emotions and ignore any consequences. He who has enough morals of faithfulness will chop that, like, in its first idea. But, not everyone can have enough strength, will, wisdom, or ethics, to chop that, like, immediately, as a rule. Good will make another good, and bad will make another bad. He who usually does good deeds and respects shrewd people, will have enough morals of faithfulness to reject the like in a second. He who often lives a bad life will not be faithful enough to overcome the like, which always haunts his mind. If we find it easy to like the stranger, we will destroy our family, our life, and our society. Chapter 35. Start Up. The reunion party of my classmates was moving. It had been 12 years since the day they graduated and left the university. Each person now had his or her own family, circumstances, career, and innermost feeling, and talked non-stop with their friends. The story began with the love in the time of studying, then turned into the startup. Ben circled his glass and said, "It is until this age for us to know that all the dreams in youth were romantic but not a bit practical." Lon said, "I had always planned to establish a series of agricultural material stores within 10 years' time. But I am still a technician in a company." Hung added, "Most of us could not reach our purposes. But why does poor Bang make a big career like this? Let him talk." Everyone turned to Bang. Bang timidly said, "My friends, I remembered the day we graduated and had a party. Each of you told your plan to do a startup with your own kind, very imposing. I did not really understand what you talked about. I just felt that all of you are wrong in something, such as you only talked about your own benefits, not about society's benefits. I just thought about how I could make benefits for life first. Eventually, I chose the purpose to solve the garbage problem to protect our environment. So, I learned one more subject, plastic chemicals. Then I collected many samples of garbage to study and searched for the methods to treat them. Recycle them. Unexpectedly, it was so complicated to treat plastic garbage. That was why not many people have invested in this field. There were too many kinds of plastics, with different formulas. The ink of label printing had polluted their ingredients and made them more difficult to recycle. I tried and tried until one day I could handle all the problems of plastic garbage and set a process to treat them effectively. I called for investment funds. At first, I had little capital funds, so I made a small business to treat and recycle plastic garbage. Because I went in the right way, my business developed well later. Nowadays you hardly find plastic garbage on the streets, on the beaches, because my company bought them all. Many people are earning their living by them to my company. The products which come from collecting plastic garbage, cleaning them, then selling the recycled plastic have stopped the imports of the raw plastic material and helped the nation to reduce import spending. I only had a dream to do good for life, so I chose the work of protecting the environment, but it happened that a lot of good things returned to me. The friends kicked up a racket, saying, "Why did you call us to invest together?" "Because I had heard all of you have your super plans already. Why did you scold us when you noticed that we are wrong? So now you are rich alone. Everyone has his own plan to earn a living at the beginning of stepping into life, but each different motive will cause a different result. Almost all people think about their own benefits when choosing a start-up. Not many people choose the purpose of doing for life. The law of karma is fair. He who is altruistic will be compensated well. If all of society would have start-up businesses with altruistic motives, the country would make extreme progress. Humans' relationships will be better too, and the market would not be a battlefield anymore. The businesses would support each other and not fight anymore. When we have an altruistic motive, we often have special research and invention to undertake. Many famous people started their life with the dream of doing good for life. Chapter 36. To embrace one's hurt. Number 570 asked, "Hi, buddy, why are you in here?" Number 577 replied, "I was accidentally involved in an embezzlement and was sentenced to 3 years. I did not take a penny, just was implicated in the responsibility. Why do you look cheerful?" It usually takes 2 years for a prisoner to be acquainted with the circumstance here and feel less sadness. Yeah, I have a conception that everywhere we live offers a chance for us to learn. Prison also has its own chance for us. Now that I am here, I will live entirely here, and not think about outside. That makes me peaceful. Where did you learn this philosophy? I learned this when I was betrayed. The girl whom I loved the best, took care of me wholeheartedly but left me to marry a rich man. I nearly committed suicide from the heartbreak. I messed up myself for 3 days. It was like falling into a whirlpool without an escape. Suddenly on the 4th day, I changed my mind, not trying to escape anymore, but embracing the hurt in my heart. An easy feeling appeared. I kept practicing and embraced the hurt in my heart instead of trying to escape from it. It took me another 4 days to stop all the hurt. Since that event, I applied this method in all difficult situations. When scolded, I accept. When harmed, I receive it. By such a reaction, I gave up all anger or sadness. When I am calm, I make better decisions and more ethical solutions later. This time I experience being imprisoned, and I also embrace it, live entirely with it, so I am as happy as living outside. You surprise me a lot, buddy. We are sorrowful, not because we are sorrowful, but because we want to avoid sorrow. The more we want to avoid sorrow, the more we are sorrowful. The key ending sorrow is to accept it. It is very unexpected that when we are courageous enough to accept the sorrow will go away. When we accept the sorrow, we also accept the mistakes we made in the past. The psyche which accepts the mistakes is moral, and thus it will give us the strength to dissolve the pain. If we are displeased when we work in the wrong position, we will work ineffectively and will hurt ourselves all the time. If we accept that wrong position, live and work entirely with it, not think to another position, we will immediately get ease, and work more effectively. When we get a severe illness, we need a treatment of course. But if we strongly wish to recover, the sorrow will be more terrible. If we accept such illness, of course with treatment, we will feel better. To embrace the hurt is a great skill that overcomes the hurt. He who does not have enough ability to accept will find it difficult to implement the necessary acceptance. It requires great wisdom and ethics to embrace the hurt. Chapter 37. Further looking. Out from the meeting room, Truong seized Hui's collar angrily. "Why did you vote for the member of the other side's director?" Hui replied, "Because I considered it useful." "What is useful?" "Their guy becoming the director is a disadvantage for our side." "Why do you say so?" "I think this time will be different. Mr. Vu, nominated director by his side, is a good person. He will work fairly. Everything will be better, good person or not, no matter. When his side is up, ours will be down. I also guess that we will be down, but our descendants will get the benefit. If they work for fairness, they will get rid of the concept of private groups, so we will be affected and disadvantaged. But till the time of our descendants, they will receive the goodness of the results from the fairness? Bullshit. It is sure to our advantage when we handle everything ourselves, because you only wanted to handle everything. Our group recently lost prestige. On the contrary, the other side changed a lot, looked further, improved their own morality, and significantly increased their own prestige. In life, humans often hate talented and good people. Generally, they are afraid the others can succeed more than they can themselves. This psyche is called envy. Harming or suppressing a good and talented person seems to be a win, but it defeats the whole society. Our society needs many good and talented people to develop, but we watch to find good people to harm or kill. It destroys our society. Envy can be mean, small-minded, and cruel. Because we worry about the success of others and we suppress good people, we lose a good source for our community. The law of karma will definitely bring a hard consequence for the envious one. He will turn out incapable, find himself away from opportunity. And lonely in a deserted place. Opposite to envy is generosity. We are always to support, help, and give a hand to the people who are talented and moral. Even our support makes others reach an even higher position than us, and we will be always glad. We put the common benefit higher than our benefit, higher than our honor, higher than our pride. Sometimes it is a disadvantage for us when we support the good ones, yet our descendants will enjoy the sweet fruits of benefit. The more envious people in a country are, the worse future that the country will get, because good people will have been wiped out already. On the contrary, a country with many generous people who can look further and support the good will fly up higher. We have often heard the story of the 3 men who fell into a deep hole. The story had 2 solutions. The first solution is that they are in solidarity. Each of them carried the others on their heads. The top one could reach the edge and found something to grab and climbed up. He would run for help or find some string to pull his friends up too. Eventually, everyone was escaped and safe. The second solution is that they were envious of each other. If one tried to grab a root to climb up, the other would pull him down. Eventually, they all died. It is ethical for us to be happy and love the talented and good people. Maybe we have not been able to do anything good, but only this generous heart is enough to contribute to our society usefully. We must promise ourselves that we will always support the good and talented people. We must honestly expect many good people will come to make our society better. Obviously, if we cannot contribute very much to our society, and if someone can contribute more than us, he must be more talented than us. It is a noble morality when we always wish for better people. The law of karma will give such generous people special descendants in the future. There will be genius people in his descendants.
The Moral Foundation offers a clear, practical guide to understanding and cultivating morality. It explores core principles, trends, and levels of ethics, providing simple, actionable methods to apply in daily life. Thank you for your listening.